Welcome to my podcast. Welcome to my podcast. Welcome to my podcast. Welcome to my podcast. Welcome to my podcast.
Some of the best moments I have in life are between action and cut. Like I live, you know what I'm saying? I live for those moments. And so, yeah, that's how it all started. And then before I know it, I'm like trying to make this decision. Am I going to continue with acting, or I'm going to walk away from my corporate career? And that was the toughest choice I've ever made. And I can't even tell you that if I had the choice to do it again, I would love to say I would make the same choice, but I'm not so sure. If I hadn't chosen this, I would have wished I would have. And now that I have, I wonder what would have happened if I had just stayed in my corporate career. Because I keep in contact with some of the people I used to work with. They all VPs now, or presidents. And I'm like, damn, that would have been. I was headed in that direction, but we went in. It just went a different way.
Wow, that is so brilliant. So, would you say acting, now that you're acting, would this be considered your first love?
Career-wise, yeah, for sure. Because I think prior to this, someone had met me back in my corporate days, I loved my job and I talked about it like I loved it. I talked about it passionately. I was into it. I was in charge of investigations for a couple of really well-known national retailers. And so I ran this department. I had investigators that worked for me, and we did interrogations of employees stealing. I loved my job, man. They paid me really well and I loved it. And if you had met me then, I was real passionate about this. But as much as I love that, I love acting more, right? Like there's just something, there's a itch. There's a itch that I have that acting scratches. You know what I'm saying? And it's I can't explain it, man. It's just, I love being in front of the camera, and I love the challenge of bringing this person's life to the audience.
I love it. This is good conversation. Yes. John is in the building. Nicholson is in the building. This is just one of those conversations on Pep Talk that I always want to have, because I'm gonna be honest with you. If I can, we do a lot of music, we do a lot of other entertainments, but actors we rarely get on our show. So there's a lot of questions that I have that I want to ask. I must say, I want to ask. There's one particular question I always wanted to ask an actor. What is it that you need to set the tone of you getting into a role? Where do you go? Where's the quiet place that you go to actually study the role and look at the role and say, okay, I got my woosah, I got what I need to focus on this role right now? How does John Nicholson get into his roles?
So for me, I think I'm a method actor, right? And so for method actors, we always are looking for ways to make it the most real for us, right? Like, how can I make this real? Is there some real experience that I have in my life that mirrors what the character is going through? Because if so, the emotions are similar, but for me, it's always real. So I think when playing a person, I always want to start from the inside out, because if you can think like the character, it's easier to be the character, because you start to understand the world from his perspective. Yeah. So if I'm playing someone, I want to find out everything I can about this person. If they're somebody from history or a real life person, in Rod's case, I wanted to find out everything. I wanted to watch every video interview he ever did, how dude walks, his mannerisms, where he grew up, where did he go to school. Is like everything is. I try. My thought is like a building block, but I start from the inside, and then you work your way out. And I think if you understand the core of a person, you are on your way to having to being able to become that character, right? Because It's like anything else in life. If you really want to understand someone or get along with them, you got to understand who they are as a person, as on the inside, right? If you get that, then everything else just kind of makes sense. And as far as my quiet place goes, for me, it's the beach, man. I go, and like the beaches out here in California are amazing. So like I have this little spot I go to in Malibu, and you can just go there and it's literally almost no one there, and pull out your beach chair and just the sound of the ocean, you know what I'm saying? The smell of the salt water is just very soothing, and it helps me just let go of all the extraneous stuff that sometimes, you know, is buzzing in our ear, and it allows me to just chill. And from that place, now I'm ready to learn my lines and, you know, and get into it.
Yeah. That's great, man. That's great. Let me just thank the people that are in the building. Thank you guys once again for stopping by. You know, I'm texting. I'm not good at this right now, so I'm actually texting the people that are in the queue right
Yo, let
now.
me tell you something that was crazy, and this just came up in the last like month or so, right? So like, the show that I was on, Murder Chose Me, was really popular here, but it actually turns out that it was actually way more popular overseas than I ever had any idea. Like I was getting messages from fans in like South Africa and Egypt and Saudi Arabia and the Philippines, and I was like, man, I had no idea the show. Like people was really, they like, yo, we really feeling this show. And so just a month ago, there's this group from Brazil, right? And they have like there's a like 70,000 members in this group, and one of them, I guess, saw me online, and they invited me to join the group. And the next thing I know, I got like thousands of fans from Brazil have started, and I'm trying to like reply back to their messages in Portuguese, so I'm using translator. But like, so all of a sudden it was like, man, and like they're like, man, you know, your show is still so popular here in Brazil. And so I'm giving a shout out because I know there's some fans from Brazil that are probably joining today, and I just want to tell them welcome and thank you guys for the love. I appreciate it. And the funny thing is, I've been to Brazil like 8 or 9 times on vacation previously.
Look at you.
This is before the show.
Yeah.
And they're telling me now, they're like, oh man, you got to come back because, you know, you're real popular here. And I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah. I love it. I definitely love that. That's dope. That's dope. So speaking about Murder Chose Me, talk to us about your character that you play.
Yeah, man. So Murder Chose Me was a show based on the life of this detective, Rod Demery, who is actually now a really good friend of mine. And like Rod's life is more interesting than anything anybody could, like any writer could possibly dream up, right? Like, so when he was 3, his mom was murdered, right?
Ooh.
And
so this is basically a true story.
Oh no, this is 100% true. This is not even like based. This is Rod's life. This show is based on his life. So when he's 3, his mom is murdered, and then he and his older brother go to live with their grandmother. The grandmother, because of the murder of her daughter, becomes an alcoholic. So Rod, in growing up, never had alcohol in his life. His brother went in the opposite direction, right? It's almost like this crazy case study. Then when they're a little bit older, Rod's brother commits this brutal murder, man, like a brutal rape and murder. And like, dude is doing a life sentence in jail. And Rod is the one who helped take his brother into the police station, right? And so Rod's brother goes to jail for this murder. And then Rod goes on to become a police officer, and then becomes this homicide detective, and then becomes this homicide detective who was obsessed with closing cases, right? In part because his mom's murder was never solved. And so he had this thing about wanting to get justice for people, right? And it became this driving proponent for him, but it would cause him to be sleepless. It was almost like it was a demon that he had, but he was able to use the demon in a good way, because he would go days just nonstop relentless until he found out who committed these murders. And so he cleared 100% of his murders. Every case he ever got, he solved. And where he really excelled at was in the interrogations. Like, he would get them in, and, you know, of course, people come in, I didn't do it. Where I was really able to like do his thing is being able to interrogate people, because as he would say, he was like, yo, I've been on both sides. I know I'm trying to fight for the victim, and I'm trying to get them, their family, and get them justice. But I also know what you're feeling like on the other side, because my brother's in jail right now for having committed a murder. So I know what it's like to be on the other side. And I think that unique perspective allowed him to be this amazing homicide detective, and I got to play him.
Ooh. And playing him, you did a great job, I must say. You did a great job. Talk to us about, because I hear that you mentioned that you had the opportunity to actually sit down and, correspond with him. Talk to us, what is Rod? What is he like?
Yo, Rod is dude. He's one of the coolest brothers you'll ever. He's that dude you want to hang out with, right? Like the only thing is Rod don't drink, but if he drank, me and him will go out and we get faded. But I still love him, love his company, even though he's sober and I'm not. But he's just a good dude, man. And
right.
When I found out I booked a role, the first thing I did is I called the producer and I was like, yo, could you put me in contact with him? So I picked up the phone and called him. And then that first phone call, we was on the phone for like an hour and a half, just kicking it, talking. And I'm listening to the way he talks. And, this was all part of like, now I'm starting, I was already working towards, okay, this is the guy I'm gonna be. I'm listening to him talk, his inflection. And then I had a chance to meet him when we were shooting in Tennessee and we just started shooting one of the first episodes. And he came out and he and I went to dinner. And then after dinner, man, we just stayed there and kicked it for like 2 hours in the restaurant. And, then he invited me out to his house and I went out to Louisiana to visit him and I hung out with him for the weekend. And so I really had a good chance to get to know him. And he's a good dude, man, like really good brother. Like definitely he's one of the coolest brothers you'll ever meet. I could tell you that off the bat.
Wow. I'm pretty sure that experience was something for you because it's like, okay, I'm playing this guy. So did he give you pointers? Like, were there any pointers?
Nah, he never did. And I respect that. He never did. He, as a matter of fact, when I went to visit him in Louisiana, like in Shreveport, which is where he's from, dude, going out with him was like this is even before the show started.
Right.
It was like being out with a celebrity. Like we would be out and people would be like, oh, Rod, yo. I was like, yo, this is.
He's well known.
Oh yeah, everybody knew him because he was always on the news about these murder cases he was solving. And I was like, man, dude, you really, he was driving a convertible Corvette, right? We were in Shreveport. Everybody knows him, and I'm like, and I'm getting to play this dude. Like this, somebody pinched me because I gotta be dreaming, man, right?
Right,
so
right.
Yeah. So, but in all that time, it was always looking at. How he is, how he interacts with people, mannerisms, everything. Because I felt like if I'm gonna play this dude, I owe it to be as close to him as possible. Of course, it's still gonna be my interpretation because that's what art is.
Right.
But my goal was to be as close as I possibly could.
Oh man. Now, how many seasons were we going in right now?
We did 3 seasons and they did not renew us for the 4th season, which was like, man, that was, the thing is, it's funny. I look back on it and it's like, look, as an actor, it's just like every series, I don't care which it is, even if it's Friends, it could go on for 20 years. Every series comes to an end. And whenever it ends, it's always too early for anybody who's in it to be over. They all wish it went like a little longer, right?
And I'm one of them. I ain't gonna confess. I can confess to it. I'm one of them. I was to the 3rd season. I'm like, dang, bro, we need more. We need more.
But I also, I took it as like, yo, I was 100% grateful for the opportunity, right? Yeah. To like have been in it. And I truly believe that when you got to let things go so that the next thing can come. And so it was definitely, I went through the little, I was down in the dumps and it happened just as the pandemic happened. So like, not only did the series end, but then there was no more other jobs because nothing, Hollywood was basically shut down. And I was like, man, but you know what? You definitely, you let things go. And as you let things go, new things come up. So,
hey. I like what you said, John. Speaking of new things, let's talk about the Hallmark movie that you got. Oh, let's talk about Blue Moon. Can we get into Blue Moon? Let's talk about Blue Moon. Come on, man. See, when one door closes, another opens for you. You understand? And that's for anybody. Don't get down on yourself because you always got work as an actor. There's doors that are closed. There's doors that are open, right?
The way I look at it is a week before I auditioned for Murder Chose Me. I didn't know that show existed, right?
Wow.
Like I didn't even know, I had never heard of it. And then all of a sudden, this is the show that changes my acting life, gets me fans all over the world. So I look at it like there's a project that I don't even know about right now. It's somebody's still on somebody's Mac, still getting typed out and ready to go out. I don't even know about it, but the next thing that's for me is for me. And one of those things happened to be Blue Moon Ball, which is crazy because this casting director, I had been trying to get in front of her since I moved to LA, like constantly getting submitted for stuff she was casting. She never ever called me in, ever. Didn't get an audition from her. Then all of a sudden I get this audition for this character who's really nothing like anybody I've ever played before. Right. And the next thing I know, I book it. And I was like, okay, cool. That's how we're rolling now. All right, cool. Let's do it. And it's a nice contrast between, Rod's character, which is, very streetwise and serious. And, Hallmark movies are kind of light and fun. And,
I love it.
It's that light comedy and romantic comedy. And it's just, it was a nice change of pace.
Yes. Speaking of changing the pace, it was definitely a nice change of pace for you because we get to see the mixture. You know what I mean? Your character, like you had just explained with Murder Chose Me, it was more serious. It's more like, I'm an officer. But when we look at, is that something easy to do? To switch roles on and off? Like if you get this role, because some people just like to do all. Right. Matter of fact, it leads me up to my next question. If you had the choice to choose between comedy, romantic comedy roles, which one would you choose?
Wow, man, that's a really good question. I liked the romantic comedy thing. I think it was fun and and, it definitely has its pluses, but I like the crime dramas, man. You know what I mean? Because those are the shows that I actually like to watch as well, right? So, and the fact that I came from an investigative background, right? I would have to say, crime. Some kind of crime show. But here's the other thing. I don't necessarily have to be the cop, right? Because I just heard from this director. I did this project, and it's finally about ready to come out. It's called Brothers in Arms. And I get to play this criminal, right?
Wait a minute, this is something new you're dropping on us, John?
Yeah. I mean, it's been filmed, but it's now about to come out. He called me.
Oh yes!
He was sending me over a link for me to take a look at because it's completely different. I'm like this hood criminal, and there's this scene where I'm getting interrogated by these two white cops are interrogating me. And, the director really he was like, yo, I'm going to let you run with this and just do your thing. So he allowed me to go off script, and I really got it. Cause think of like a wisecracking hood criminal from South Jamaica, right? Getting interrogated by two cops. And like, he really allowed me to have attitude to go at the cops. And so it's going to be, when people see it, I think they'll be like, oh shit, this dude is on this dude is on, it's definitely on, because, now I'm sitting on the side, I'm being interrogated in this interrogation room. And it's going to be interesting.
Tell us the title. What's the title of this?
It's called Brothers in Arms.
Brothers in Arms. Okay. Is it set to be released in this year or?
Probably not till 2022.
Okay.
Because it's just the year. It's actually the end of the year is right around the corner, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
I think pretty much everything that's not out now
will be in 2022.
Yeah, if it's not out this month or in December, then beginning of December, then it'll probably go over to January.
Oh, love it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you tuned in and you're listening, Ron, he's going to release the new stuff. He told you when it's going to come out, so look for it. Look for it. John has definitely told us and gave us the plug on what's coming and what's up and coming. I like that. So, John, let's open up the queue for people to ask some questions. Are you okay with that? Can we get them to ask you some questions? If you guys are listening, y'all tuned in, I know y'all. It's time to open up the queue to ask John some questions. I mean, Go on, lay your questions on John. We're open right now. If you have anything that you would like to ask him, please, we're opening it up right now for you to leave your question.
So I don't know if you know, man, my son is an actor as well.
Yes, I was going to get into that. I seen him on IG. You guys are heavy on IG. I love the father and son relationship. I really do. Talk to us about that.
So, bro, just watching.
Look, someone said, wait, I don't mean to cut you off. Someone is, Roz, if I pronounce your name wrong, please forgive me. But it said, they said, how is Phoenix doing? That's your son.
He's doing, yeah. He's doing great.
Thanks for that. I like that question.
He's just a good kid, man. I'm blessed. He's a really talented actor. This kid has actually grown up on TV. One thing that a lot of people may not know is that he was the baby for Jesse and Angie on All My Children.
Ooh.
And that's how he got his start, which is so funny because Donnell Williams, who played Jesse on the show All My Children, now follows Phoenix on Instagram. And so I have a picture of him and Phoenix on set. Phoenix is like 3 months old. Jesse, Donnell is holding him. And now Donnell is following Phoenix and commenting that he's a big fan of Phoenix's work. And I was just like, wow, that's just, and it's just progression, man.
Right.
But yeah, so he's been doing this literally since he was 3 months old. And then, he kind of segued from that. 1 or 2, he started doing print ads. 3 or 4, he started doing national commercials. Now he's kind of segued over into like movies and TV. He just won this international award for best actor.
Yeah. I see on IG. I love it. Congrats to him.
He just did this, like he booked this series over this beginning of the summer. With if anybody who is a Marvel fan, David Dastmalchian, who's from Ant-Man and from the Suicide Squad that's out now. He's one of the stars of the movies, and he played Phoenix's dad on this series. And then John Amos played Phoenix's grandfather. And I remember taking Phoenix to set, and I'm like giddy, man. I'm like, yo, you getting ready to work with John Amos? Who's John Amos? And I'm sitting there like, oh man, you don't even know. I've been watching this man on TV since I was like your age, right?
Yeah.
and you are getting ready to work with him. And he wasn't even aware of like how big the moment, like, David, he knew because he's watched Marvel movies. So that was just a thrill for me to be sitting on the sidelines and watching him, right? Like do his thing. And I'm watching this kid grow up kind of like on TV and on the screen as like other people are. And as his confidence grows with each role, it's just a blessing, man. It's a blessing.
He's such a brilliant kid, I must say. I love his personality. We wish him nothing but success on his journey. And I know his journey, he's going to be great. Someone wants to know, they said, relationships like with your dad, and how has that impact the relationship you seek to foster with your son? Okay, So growing up, what was your relationship like with your dad, and how has that impact the relationship you seek to foster with your son?
Okay, that's a good question. Like I've been real.
Crystal, thank you for that one.
Been real open. There's a documentary that actually is out on Amazon. It's called 8 Broken Hearts, and it's about 8 people who talk about the difficulties they had in childhood. And I've been real open about the fact that like my dad was, he had a lot of demons, man. And I did not have I didn't have the best childhood growing up. Not in terms of like, it's not like we was on the street or didn't have food, but it was just the drama that went on with it. My dad was a really bad alcoholic, and like the drama that went on with like growing up with that, it was a challenge, man. But it definitely molded who and how I am as a father, because it made it very clear to me who I didn't want to be, right? Like this is the dad I'll never be, right? And so I use this hashtag when I post stuff. It's called, be the dad you wish you had, right? And so that's what I try to be for my son, you know, in terms of just, you know, and sometimes I'm probably giving him what I needed as a kid, and he might not necessarily need it because he's not growing up the same way I didn't grow up with the same, you know, challenges and stresses I did. But I think I try to lavish that kid with love and attention and, you know, indulgence and guidance, man. And I try my best to be a good role model for him.
Yes, yes. And being a good role model, I must say, I see you guys. I mean, y'all go, you are actually really in tune, as most fathers should be. Let me just say that. A lot of fathers, they're not really in tune to their kids. You know, the kid will come home, their child will come home and they're in the room, or, you know, they're not really in tune to what in tune to what they need to be, as they need to be, rather, with their child. You are in tune. I see you guys are on set together. You're everywhere together. And I love that father and son relationship. If you had to give advice to the dads out there, right, that need to continue that wants to build a relationship with their son and don't know how because they're too distant, do you feel it's too late to build a relationship?
Nah, man, I don't think it's ever too late. And I think the way you start is you start within yourself and think about what didn't you have as a kid?
Right.
You know, because I remember, man, I used to, like, one of the reasons I like watching some of these shows that was on TV about families is because I always wanted to have a family like that. I always wish my family would be like that. I would see, you know, like this relationship and with a dad and his son, and I wish I could be with my dad like that, right? And so I think if you start off with like what is it you didn't have? What is it that you be the dad you wish you had, right? Like, what is it you didn't have? If you start off from that basis with your kid, you'll build from there, man. I mean, kids are amazing, right? Dude, I feel like I'm blessed to be able to watch this kid grow and blossom and do his thing. And you get such a small window because he's going to be 11 next month. And, like, you know, 7 years, he'll be off to college. And
that's true.
Is gone at 18. You know, it's like whatever you were going to instill in your kid, you've done it. It's by 18. If it didn't work, it didn't work, because now they're on their own, making their own decisions. They don't have to answer to you. And it's that time is so small, man. And here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say to fathers. And I used to be angry at my dad, right? I used to be angry, and I used to think, you know, you didn't enjoy this time with me, right? Like you know, but he had whatever drama he had within him that kept him from having a different kind of relationship with me. But now that I have the relationship that I do with my son, now I feel sorry for him, right? Because I'm like, dude, you missed out, right? You missed out. I get so many special moments with this kid, like golden moments, and I look and I'm like, dude, then I think about my dad and I think, yo, you missed out, homie. So I'm not mad at him anymore, because I actually feel a little sorry for him, because his drama kept him from being able to experience some beautiful stuff. Yes.
I agree 100%. I don't know if I'm on point, but when I started speaking about your son, it looked like he was getting a little emotional.
I do, bro, for sure, man. I do, 100%.
I love that. I definitely do love that. I did pick up on that. I did see that. Because, I mean, it's important. It's, you know, father and son relationships are very important. I always am I commend when I see fathers, because there are a lot of fathers that's just not there. You know, they're not there physically. They're there, but they're not there physically.
Right.
And it's sad sometimes, because at the end of the day, like I said, I'm a 70s baby, and I can confess to this. I was one of those childs that the father was just not there. You know, I knew. And you know what's so crazy, John? And now that we on Pep Talk and we kicking it, you know, this is why we come to Pep Talk, and this is why I like these conversations, because it's therapeutic for myself. My father was not there. You understand what I'm saying? He was there, but he wasn't there.
He wasn't present.
Yes, he wasn't present.
But he wasn't present.
And you know what's so crazy? I don't know if this is just me, but I couldn't stop loving him.
Absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying? Like I worshiped the ground he walked on, and he just wasn't there. I didn't go to basketball games with him. I didn't go to the movies with him. I didn't do these things with him. You understand what I'm saying?
Dude, let me tell you the type of dude my dad was. One of my brothers, my older brother, played baseball. And he was really good. Like, dude was really good. Um, and I think all of us, we all were always seeking his approval and attention, which of course we never got. But my brother was playing in this game, big game or something, and struck out. He had a bad game, like, 0 for 3 or 0 for 4, but he was an all-star. He was good, but he just happened to have a bad game that my dad was there. Dude left. Dude got in his car and left. And my brother and mom, they had to like figure it out to like get the bus home or whatever. And I'm thinking, as I look at my own son, dude, if he had a bad game, I want to be there to hug him as soon as the game is over and tell him, yo, don't worry about it. You still good.
Yeah.
I can't imagine him looking around and like, dude, my dad just bounced. He didn't even stay till the end of the, you know what I'm saying? He didn't even stay till the end of the game. And he didn't even know how I'm gonna get home. He just left. So that's an example of who my dad was in terms of his parenting style.
Wow.
So that's why I say, for men is like, be the dad that you wish you had. I could never do that to my son. I couldn't even imagine it. It's the antithesis of anything I could imagine.
Yes.
Because of how hurt he would be. Him feeling like he let me down when I'm really supposed to be there to tell him you didn't let anybody down. You had a bad game and it's going to happen, and pick yourself back up and you'll be ready tomorrow. And that's what a kid needs to hear. That's what, being a dad to me, that's what it's about, is to be there and, help them out, man. Give them that life guidance, right? Like,
that's right. That's right. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're not shining down on daughters. Yes, daughters do need dads too. They do. They definitely do. I think any child needs a dad. Bottom line, I don't care. Any child, dad, mom. If they're blessed to have both parents in the house, I think that is necessary. And to be on board with your child. Yeah, this is a deep conversation. This is one of those conversations that I love to have because it's necessary for both parents to be on board with your child. Be on board. Or with your children.
Man, speaking of, let me plug this other thing.
Let's do it, John.
Have you had Amanda Henn on your show?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so Amanda is Leslie represents Amanda as well, and Amanda and I are really good friends, and so we are in the process of producing this pilot, and it is about a single dad raising his son. Single dad, me. The son is my son, Phoenix.
Yes.
Amanda is playing my mom on the show. And we really want to tackle head on. Oh, but here's the other, just like the universe. So it turns out that I actually have two cousins who live out here in Los Angeles, who are from New York, who grew up in South Jamaica, Queens. We didn't really hang out together as family.
Okay.
They live out here. They're both screenwriters, right? They work for Marvel, and they're helping us write the script. And we really are making this a positive show about a brother who is raising his son along with the help of his mom, and navigating all the stuff that comes along with raising an 11 or 12-year-old. And we want to challenge some of the stereotypes that are there about Black men and and being good parents and being present in their kids' lives and stuff. And so as we've been going through this pilot process, we really have been challenging, pushing the envelope, and definitely want to take on the stereotypes head on. So I'm excited. I think we won't get to shooting this until 2022.
Okay.
But, I'm excited about it, and it's something that I'm working on, like hands-on. Amanda and I are like hands-on doing this. Even Phoenix is chipping in with
Okay.
his commentary, and
Okay.
my cousins are there. Jackie and Janine are fabulous writers, and so I'm really excited, man. And I hope 2022, I'm gonna be able to we're gonna be able to bring this one to fruition.
I love it. I love it. We got to get Amanda on this show. She's such a beautiful person. She's done great things in this industry, and I must say, we want to give her a huge shout out. Definitely a huge shout out. We're gonna get on the show. You know, thanks for plugging in. What's the title again?
The title of
what you got working with Amanda?
Raising Phoenix.
Raising Phoenix. Y'all heard it, ladies and gentlemen. It's coming soon. It's coming soon. Great things as always.
So if you want to reach out to me, you can get me on Instagram. You can follow me at John Nicholson, the actor _ The underscore goes after the R in actor. On Twitter, you can get me at John Nicholson 71. And on Facebook, you can get me at John Nicholson, the actor.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And once again, I must say we has come to the closing of the show. I'm D Molay, man, and this has been another dope segment of Pep Talk. John Nicholson came in the building, man, and we really appreciate this phenomenal actor for stopping by. This has been another dope segment of Pep Talk. Y'all keep it safe out there, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for stopping by.
Hey, this is John Nicholson. I just want to say thank you to Pep Talk and Lavish Life magazine for having me on the show. It was an amazing time having a chance to talk with you guys, and your show is popping, and I hope you have me back on soon. Peace.